Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the breakdown. I'm Tone. It's fantastic to have you coming back again and again to watch my content. I hope that I bring value, some valuable insight into different things for you. But it's really good to have you here with me once again. So thank you for joining me. Firstly, tonight I want to sort of refer back to when I first started this channel at the beginning of 2020. Indeed, when I first started it in the very beginning of January, I had no idea really what was to happen between then and now. But earlier on in our predicament in 2020, I don't know, it was probably around late March, early April, when everyone was sort of freaking out about the issues. I did a video where I just encouraged everybody not to succumb to the fear that was being, perpetuated from the whole issue. The media just sensationalizing everything, and so I was encouraging everybody to not succumb to that fear that they were trying to put in everyone's hearts. And just recently, I mean, I've seen it for probably the last 6 months, in particular. It might have been before that too, but they've certainly ramped it up as far as I can tell. Where there's ads on television and ads on the radio talking about leaving calls to 000 for true emergencies. And I wondered why they would necessarily need to push that idea again. I mean, I think most people understood that that's what you did. And, there was other numbers or other methods that you could use to get assistance for things that weren't an emergency. But you see, the last 2.5 years, this fear that has been pushed out into our society, and indeed around the world, but let's be specific to Australia, the fear that has been pushed out, the level of anxiety went through the roof for a lot of people. Suicides went through the roof, and yet we didn't really hear a whole lot about them. There are people that probably still have acute anxiety as a result of this, and something that they probably pre-C19 days probably would have thought more clearly about. Just jump on the blower, for here in Australia we call the phone the blower. They jump on the phone and they freak out about something. They might think that they've got C19. I mean, there still might be people that freak out about the fact that they may have that. And so it's just interesting that they've got this idea that they've got to push these ads out because they're obviously getting inundated with emergency calls that aren't emergencies in the grand scheme of things. So I just found that interesting, and I just wanted to reiterate what I'd said in that previous video way back then, the beginning of 2020. Don't succumb to the fear. There's a lot of stuff yet to come. Don't be fearful about it. Step out there, get yourself sorted out, make a plan, and if you've got a plan or got some idea about what you're doing, then you're a lot less likely to succumb to the fear like that. So but it's just interesting to me that they need to talk about this again. So that was the first thing I wanted to talk about tonight. The second thing, what was the second thing? I've got three things. I was going to talk about gold and silver. Good question. Well, I can talk about the gold and silver for a moment. It's interesting at the moment where we've got, and again, whatever I share on here is not investment advice, it's just observation and maybe what I'm doing, um, and my insight as to why I think whatever's happening is happening. But it's interesting because I was talking to a bullion dealer recently, and they told me that there's been an increase in people coming forward and selling back their gold and their silver. And what stands out to me is when, in the majority of times, when people are selling something and the price of it therefore comes down, especially in the stock market, quite often you want to be a buyer in that market. You want to be selling when everyone else is wanting to buy, and you want to be buying when too many people are selling. But with precious metals, it's a different sort of thing where um, obviously what's going on at the moment, people are selling their metals. This is my prediction anyway. This is my idea. People have increased the amount that they are selling at whatever price they can get for it, because the cost of living has gone up crazy, and they've got other things that they're trying to do, and there are other avenues of getting currency to be able to buy or to do whatever they want to do in a dipping share market sort of place we find ourselves in at the moment. They don't want to sell those shares, so they're selling their precious metals. And again, there's only a small percentage of people that hold precious metals, but that's another story for another video. But it's just interesting to me, and I think that what we're seeing at the moment is a bit of a slow burn. It's not a crash. It's just a slow burn where everything just gradually loses all value, or the realization that the dollar is next to worthless, or is becoming closer and closer to worthless. And that's true for currencies all around the world. Um, or whether the share markets of the world have been in giant bubbles. So all of that's happening. People are more inclined, I guess, to sell their precious metals to cover the costs of what they want to do. One, because in the current environment at the moment, gold and silver and platinum and palladium have not skyrocketed, to the stratosphere, when normally in these sorts of conditions they'd start to catch a bid and head higher. So while silver and gold and the other metals are fairly stable at this point, they're the ones that sort of must be the logical choice to sell, because anything else that they sell at this point would be possibly at a loss, or certainly a loss in comparison to earlier this year. That's not to say that it's not going to go lower. And as I said, normally, and I think it is true for this case as well, normally in a market that's coming back down, that's the market that you want to be stepping into with your cash. And in this case, putting your currency cash into hard assets and into real money, precious metals, just seems like to me to be a very smart move, because We haven't seen the end of this inflation trouble. We haven't seen the end of the money printing, um, currency printing. And so I do believe that the next leg up in precious metals, and that therefore also translates into the next realization of the huge leg down in value in the currencies of the world, is not too far away. And as I've spoken about in previous videos, um, gold, silver, platinum, they're not get rich quick schemes. They are hedging against the debt system, therefore retaining value of your currency at its current value, so that you can then sell the precious metals back to the metals market and get your currency back out. And even though you get more currency, you can probably only buy about the same amount of stuff as previously, because the value of the currency's gone down and you have to spend more of that to buy what you need. But I'm increasingly of the view that things are going to turn quite good, therefore conversely quite bad for the dollar, quite good for gold and silver in comparison. And so I'm making my adjustments thus. So made some purchases recently just to make sure that I'm progressing my plan to being prepared for that. And as I've probably mentioned on these videos before, I've been doing this for over 10 years. So I understand. 2008 was the wake-up call for me, but I didn't really do anything until 2010, 2011, before I really started to protect my wealth, or purchasing power, by getting into the metals markets. And they can only manipulate the system for so long, in my opinion. The main thing that's going to wake people up, I think, is when we start to reach the potential for hyperinflation is there. At the moment, we're in a bit of a stagflation. Now, stagflation is essentially just inflation and a loss in the ability to supply what you need. So the cost of everything goes up, but the supply drops off too, which it just exacerbates the whole problem. So anyway, that's what I think. I think precious metals are something that you want to do your research about, and start preparing yourself a little bit more with, than what you otherwise might have thought about previously. Again, don't take my word for it. This is just me encouraging you to go do your own research, to protect yourself. Ultimately, that responsibility lies with you. But that's just my thoughts. And I did remember the third topic I wanted to talk about, and that was the energy crisis that the world is seeing at the moment. They've talked about it in the news here. I actually went for maybe close on 2 weeks without a television. I just turned it off. That's it. I'm not having television, partly in response to the election and everything like that. I didn't need to hear the rubbish that was going to be spewed about that. We didn't have our current Prime Minister spending much time here anyway, so I didn't want to hear anything much about that. But I did tune in again at the start of the week, and I guess they've probably been going on about this energy crisis for a little bit longer. Of course, anyone who's awake knew that it's coming, knew that it was coming, and so it shouldn't be any surprise to the awake people that it has come. What's the guy's name? Is it the treasurer? See, I don't even know who's. I don't really care. I'll I'll get it eventually, and I'll remember who's in what position and whatever. But whoever it was talking about we've got it under control kind of thing. We've got this issue under control. We're getting base load power up to scratch and blah, blah, blah. Not talking anything about the fact that the policies that they want to put into place are only going to put further strain on the system, that they are saying, oh, we inherited this system from, or this stuff from 10 years of delay from the previous government, blah, blah, blah. They're pushing a green agenda that cannot work. That's, this is green. This green works. I think it does. But the green agenda that they're pushing is not going to work. It's not designed to work. It's part of the design to take more of what you have and put it in the pockets, the deep pockets of those that already have big investment in this farce. But that's another story. I digress. So I still am firmly believing that the energy issue is going to be worse. I've already set myself up with a backup power source, and possibly going to, I may do a video on that actually, but I also think it probably needs a little bit of work, but I've got something there. I've noticed while I've been here too, sometimes we do get a bit of a flicker in the lights. Don't know what that is, but I've noticed that for about the last month. Any suggestion by the current government to say that they've got it under control, I laugh at that. I don't believe it for a second. The number of times we will hear, it's all under control, and then out of the blue, oh, we didn't foresee this, and then boom. It happens, doesn't matter who's in government. That sort of thing happens all the time. Case in point, with the Reserve Bank and everything like that, they said, hey, interest rates are going to stay low until 2023, 2024. As you know, if you follow this channel, I put out a video 6 to 7 months ago saying, no, 2022, the rates will rise, and it could be quite substantial. Don't get into excessive debt because you'll get trapped, etc. The thing is, they knew that. They're not lying. They're lying. They're not stupid. It's all planned. So, but I believe that this energy crisis is going to continue. The price of everything's going to continue to go up. Stock markets are going to remain under pressure. Banks around the world, the central banks around the world, especially in the European Central Bank and the Fed over in America, they are both working to use what another YouTuber that I follow, Gregory Mannarino, he quoted that they said special tools to try to avoid any problems, which essentially just means printing more money or more currency, pushing it into the system, which is highly inflationary. And so that just circles back to my second point, which is that if you want to preserve your wealth, your purchasing power from what you've worked many, many years to collect, that is, hopefully, if you've got some savings, it's probably a good idea to put some of that into precious metals, real money. It hasn't been wrong, like ever since, especially ever since 08, this has not been wrong, because since then, currency printing has been on steroids. It's not going to stop. In fact, when it finally does stop, that's when the world is going to be a very, very different place financially, and what people can afford as well is going to be drastically changed and affected. Anyway, that was a lot of stuff crammed into 20 minutes. But no, seriously, I, I just I hope and pray that you are listening to people that know what's going on, um, and you're doing your own research, and you're not falling back on the promises of government to protect you, because none of them do anymore. Um, the world government, so to speak, is the banks. Everything else is a puppet show. Anyway, that's all I wanted to share with you all tonight. Thank you very much for joining me. If you liked this video, please leave a like, comment anything that you would like me to cover in later videos, or what you thought of this particular one. Please share this video to anyone that you think may get some value out of it, because I can only share it so far by putting it on here. So yeah, if you want to do that, that would be great too. And until next time, please take care. God bless, and bye for now.